Hey everybody, on this little fireside chat, I'm going to talk about something that so many people are probably not going to agree on. But I want to chat a little bit about the concept of pro blasters. And I just want to say I'm I'm kind of fatigued on pro. And what I mean by that is I find there's so many blasters now that are almost 200 FPS. I have many of them. I don't think it's a bad thing they exist at all. As someone who's really enjoyed my little bits of time in competition, it's cool that you can go and get those. And if you play with a group who plays, you have kind of a better in than ever before to get a pro blaster to use. I think that's great. I do think there's some, boy, this is going to be rambly already. I do have some concerns, honestly, that as a hobby, we're like one national news cycle and one child's lost eye away from a huge crash in what can be built and sold. With all those pro blasters and these 200 FPS blasters that like anyone can just buy. I mean, we know they say 14 plus, but that doesn't matter, right? I would actually be okay if a lot of those blasters were in with the paintball and airsoft, which I know would be bad for sales. So I mean, I don't wish companies to not do well with selling. I feel like that'd be a rough one for Dart Zone, or maybe not, because so much of that selling is online too. Now there's all the Target stuff. Yeah, it would be bad. But I guess my point is, it does stress me out a little bit. Kids are not cautious. Kids are, well, maybe in America, but kids here are generally not brought up with a whole lot of gun safety. I mean, I used to hunt as a kid, so, I did safety courses for that, but generally, I feel like that's not the norm. It was barely the norm then, and it's definitely not the norm now. Like, that percentage would be way out of whack. So, the chances of someone accidentally firing a 200 FPS dart in someone's face is without eye protection is really high. So that stresses me out a bit. But that's not really what I mean when I say I'm tired of hearing about pro. That's kind of a different, I guess, concern that I find I have. When I say I'm tired of it, it's almost like this concept that I guess I'm tired of it almost feeling like we need all these pro blasters. They're certainly nice and they're fun. I like plinking as much as anyone, but I don't need them. And I actually find myself getting more and more disinterested in the really high end ones. The Nexus Pro X, I thought it was really cool. It was a good offering. Like, I'd never slag it in a review for that, but like, I haven't touched it since the review. I have the new Nitro Shot blaster. Oh, goodness, what is it called? The Striker 2.0, which I wish it was actually a Tomcat 2.0. I wish that drum was enclosed like the Tomcat one. That was a cool drum. I've had it since I was in the US weeks ago, and I haven't opened it yet because I don't really want to fire it at my targets that are only 25 feet away in my house and break them. And I don't really plink in the house with things that hit that hard. For outside, that would be fine, and I'm just not that interested in it. It's not a slag on it. I know a lot of people like it. I can't even speak to it because I haven't opened it. And I find I have like a real backlog of blasters that I got because I thought, oh, I should talk about this. And I'm just not as interested in it. I've had the Nerf Pro Sender, a blaster I thought I was going to be really excited about. I've had that in a box too. I mean, that's only 150 FPS, but it's kind of just higher than I need for my day-to-day fun. And when I run parties and events, I cap things around, below HVZ standard, basically, like 100 to 110 is as fast as I go. So I'm just finding, and I know I don't have a lot of clubs. I don't have any clubs near me. I would like to start a club. I shouldn't say that. 902 Foam, those guys are in Nova Scotia. 4 hours from me, there is a group of people in Grand Bay that I've played with a couple times. It's been a while, I think, since they've played. I don't know that they've kind of like formalized their group with a name and everything. So when I say groups, I mean that. But I don't know. It's just, you don't, if I've been reminded by anything, playing with the 902 guys in a smaller space, the first couple times I went down, this little like kind of community hall type space, and we played with like pretty much, we would do stock rounds, 100 FPS max because of the space and because there were a lot of little kids there too, and like people didn't really know what they were getting into. And man, it was so fun. Probably one of the most fun rounds I had was using a Roughcut with the flip connector that Marcus foam blasted, and I did like a long time ago. I just had two Roughcuts, one on top of each other, and would like spin them around. And man, it was fun. And it was fun to bring out some blasters that are too weak to get used anywhere. I mean, I do generally think like 100 FPS is kind of like a nice sweet spot. Like I know that I would never advocate for, keep nerfing and foam blasting at 70 FPS. But I don't know. The higher that we get, I think the other thing we're not thinking about, and I feel like I've heard from people that different groups are kind of raising, we're slowly, it's like an arms race. We're raising our FPS caps as we go here and there to appease people who want to use these new blasters. And all of a sudden, a really important thing that you're losing is how easy it is for people to come in and play. Like, yes, you can buy pro blasters off the shelf or order them easily, but yes, you can do that, but there's still now an extra barrier of, you probably want better safety glasses, or, people are playing a little bit more seriously, so maybe it's a little bit more intimidating. Maybe those darts are hitting too hard. Maybe you're at an age where you don't want to get hit that hard by darts, or you're too young because there's kind of age restrictions because it's hitting harder, and maybe you're just not as interested. One of the things I love most about playing with foam blasters and stuff, and I would always say when people are like, why not airsoft, bro? Is it's so hard to get friends together to play paintball or airsoft. I've tried a couple years now just to get a game together, and it's just hard to get people to commit and schedules and expense. But I've been able to get a bunch of casual foam blasting games, and when I do it, if there's been times in the past where it's a bunch of couples playing and everyone's having fun, as you go up into that higher FPS, you see parts of those couples dropping away. They're not interested. All of a sudden, our thing is getting closer to paintball or closer to airsoft. You kind of hear people talk about like, you're getting up to 250 and 300 FPS, and comparing that to what paintballs travel at and stuff. It's cool, and I'm not saying that I would never enjoy playing a game at high FPS again. I do, but it doesn't need to be everything. It doesn't need to be every game. There's something special about being able to dodge around. There's something really, really cool. I think there's something kind of cool just about the occasional inaccuracy of stuff, the fun casualness of it, the fact that you can't be as far away, so maybe you have to make a bold move. Maybe you need to make a run for it. Maybe you need to run around something or make a play. And I just think, I don't know, I love that stuff. Again, I'm not knocking pro blasters or what Dartzone's doing, or the new Nerf Pro line, or X-Shots Pro stuff. It just, I don't know. I just feel like everyone should be mandated to pick up a more casual blaster daily and just remind themselves that the goal isn't to be paintball or airsoft. The goal shouldn't be, I'm going to pick on competition for a second. And I've had I'm not a great player. I've had 2 little dips in comp with the double XLs, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been an overwhelmingly positive experience with really, really great people. But it makes me a little bit sad sometimes that, when I look at what we're doing for tournaments, it kind of has that look of paintball or whatever, people are tucking in behind barriers, trying to be small, picking each other off from a long ways away, thanks to those pro blasters and B cars and all of that stuff, where like a little part of me is like, I want to see these same super talented people play at like 120 FPS cap. Or, you know, I want to see people having to run more and making big plays. And it's cool that, you know, the flag dash is part of it and like getting to the flag first, but like I'd love to see some, you know, I'd love to see some MacGuffins or some goofy stuff. And I know the more goofball you get, you know, I think that doesn't scratch some people's competitive itch as much, because you are adding in maybe a little bit of elements of luck here and there too. But I don't know. I don't know. There have been times in the past, especially during the first Dart Zone Pro Tournament, which I wasn't part of. I watched from home, but it kind of seemed like, and it made sense. It seemed like the goal was to like, people will take this seriously as its, you know, as its own thing, and I think that's cool and a noble effort to do. But it's like, maybe I don't necessarily want. I don't really want to win people over to think, wow, that's just as good as paintball. I want it to be its own thing. You know, I'd love to see a goofy pro tour come along, or, you know, maybe do a fun tournament that's, you know, a little bit more goofball, a little bit more, you know, random blasters, whatever. It doesn't need big prizes or anything. And again, I'm not knocking any of the tournament stuff or organizers and all that stuff. I think it's a really good time. And the fact is, I'm kind of like going on about like things that I'd kind of enjoy. That tournament is exactly what a lot of those people enjoy. Like a lot of people are into, and I think Nerf is cool and foam blasting is cool because it is such a wide hobby. You can tackle it from the high-end performance down to collecting to modding to whatever. I'm certainly not going to tell anyone that foam blasting can't be serious for you. It can, but like, I don't think that's what everyone wants. You know, I don't think everyone thinks like the pinnacle of it is, you know, just being really, really serious with high FPS blasters. I don't know. I'm drifting a little bit. I mean, like, the last thing I want to do is offend anyone either, because again, I've had such an awesome time playing and watching tournament stuff. I think of Maryland Mayhem when we were there and we played the tournament, and then on the Sunday they had like 2 or 3 times as many barriers, because all the clubs kind of had all their barriers there, and so many people were like, oh man, that would be a cool comp layout. You know, you wouldn't know where anyone was. Like, you could really sneak around the field. There's just so much cover. And I'm like, yeah, that would kind of change things up or be kind of neat. Anyway, that's not my main point. Is just remember the fun, I guess. If you're showing people your 200 FPS blasters to get them in, that's cool. If that's all you like, that's cool. I guess I'm not saying anything's bad. I'm just kind of here to be like, as time goes on, higher FPS in a way got me into it. Rival got me into this, and I was attracted to it because it hit harder. And here, after some time and settling in, like, I find I get almost as much enjoyment out of all the other stuff, and I'm not chasing the FPS part of it as much. So I don't know. I guess I just, someone was saying the other day that and I remember hearing this a bunch before, you know, that they missed they missed long darts. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of get that. I'm kind of having fun just firing long darts around and being like, wow, these really aren't as accurate as short darts. I see why we did this. But there's still something fun about it. That's the classic dart from when we get started. Oh, excuse my hiccup. So I don't know. Just, if you run a club or you run a group, I guess I'm just saying, put in a casual. Make sure you got some casual games in there. Keep some lower FPS stuff for those who maybe aren't as comfortable with high FPS. Not everyone is, and they might not even want to say. Keep lots of chances for good old goofball fun. And it doesn't matter if you win as much as you played with a cool blaster. I guess that's my ramble on that. It's more of a thought piece. There's no real critique of anyone. Like I said, no one's doing anything wrong. Dart Zone's not doing anything wrong by creating all these like awesome high power blasters. I just personally am getting like, how many how many like more realistic looking high FPS blasters do I need? I would rather build weird and wacky blasters or customize old ones, or use a blaster corn in some cases. I'd like to see Dart Zone add a little bit more goof to their ball, if you know what I mean. I don't know what I mean. I'm at 15 minutes. That's absolutely ridiculous for you guys to watch through of me out by a fire. Comment down below for 2 people. Bill, you might have got to the end of this. You're pretty good about watching stuff. So Bill, if you got to the end of this video, let me know if you found the longer you play, if you are like, I only want to use high FPS stuff and nothing else, or if you're like, you know what, enough time goes by, I still love playing and plinking around with the other stuff. Anyway, that's all for now. I hate when I forget something when I'm doing these, because then I have to merge the clips and there's never enough room on my phone because these are so long. But I wanted to kind of give that mention to HVZ. I think that's why so many people love HVZ, is you can use whatever. You can use your old crappy blaster, never been modded off the shelf. You can really use whatever, and it's all fair game. And no one's going to judge anything you use at an HVZ. If anything, you're going to get more compliments